Aaliyah Brooks had 3 rules while driving at night. Tonight, she broke all of them, by hitting a man who didn't even fall. Rain hammered the windshield so hard her wipers cried in protest. Midnight shifts were always rough, but tonight felt cursed. Malik had a fever waiting at home, Zay's shoes were worn out again, and tips had been embarrassingly low. She just wanted to finish this last ride and get home. But fate had other plans. A shadow stepped out from the alley to her right, tall, dark coat, no umbrella. Aaliyah slammed the brakes, but the car skidded on slick pavement. The impact jolted through her arms. Thud. Her heart stopped. Oh my God, no, no, no. She threw the door open, rain instantly soaking her hair, jeans, everything. Her breath fogged the cold air as she ran around the car. The man was standing. Standing. Not on the ground. Not injured. Just watching her. Lightning flashed, and she saw his expression, calm. Too calm. The kind of stillness that wasn't human. Are you okay? She gasped, fighting to keep her voice steady. He didn't answer right away. His dark eyes scanned her face slowly, as if memorizing every detail. You shouldn't be here, he said finally, voice smooth but edged with something sharp. Aaliyah swallowed. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. I swear. A crash echoed down the alley behind him. Then another. Men shouting. Footsteps pounding closer. The man, this stranger she just hit, turned his head slightly, jaw tightening. Get back in the car. What? She whispered. He looked at her fully now, eyes like cold steel. Get in. Now. Something in his tone bypassed her brain and hit her survival instincts. She scrambled back to the driver's seat as he moved around the hood and slid into the passenger side with an eerie calm. Before she could speak, 2 men burst from the alley wielding knives. Aaliyah didn't need further instructions. She floored the gas. Tires screeched, water splashed, and her beat-up Toyota lurched forward. Her heart raced so fast she felt it in her throat. What is happening? She stammered as she sped through the empty street. The stranger's voice was low, controlled. Take the next right. She obeyed, knuckles bone white on the steering wheel. Rain blurred everything. Her wipers smacked the glass furiously, but the world still felt smeared. She smelled the man next to her, sandalwood, smoke, rain-soaked wool. Expensive. Clean. Controlled. Not someone random. He wasn't breathing hard. He wasn't shaken. He wasn't normal. She glanced at him. Who are those men? People you don't want to know. And you? He looked at her, expression unreadable. Someone you never should have hit. She swallowed hard. Okay. Maybe don't ask questions. They turned into a quiet industrial block, warehouses, closed gates, no cars around. He touched a device on his wrist. It's me. Open the gate. The giant steel gate to a warehouse slid upward with a mechanical groan. What the hell? Aaliyah parked where he pointed, but her hands were shaking so badly she cut the engine twice before stopping it. She turned toward him and accidentally knocked her phone into the space between their seats. Sorry, she muttered, reaching down blindly. Her fingers hit a phone, same case as hers, same glittery silver back, same cracked corner. She grabbed it automatically. The man opened his door. Stay here. She froze. His tone wasn't threatening, but it left no room for argument. Armed men in black suits appeared out of nowhere and bowed slightly as he entered the warehouse. Bowed. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the dragon tattoo curling up one guard's neck. Aaliyah's stomach dropped. What is this place? No answer, of course. He was already gone. Her hands trembled as she looked at the phone she'd grabbed. The lock screen lit up. New message. Shipment secured, boss. Her blood drained from her face. That wasn't her phone. Oh God. She grabbed her bag, pouring everything out, lip gloss, gum wrappers, 2 kids' coloring pencils, crushed receipts, everything but her phone. The glitter phone in her hand buzzed again. New location for drop-off received. Proceeding. Her heart hammered so hard she felt it in her teeth. She had the phone. Of a man people called boss. Of a man men with weapons bowed to. Of a man who walked away from a collision without blinking. She didn't know what world she'd stepped into, but she wanted out. Now. Before she could even think of escape, the passenger door opened again. He slid back inside, water dripping from his hair. His eyes flicked to her hands. That's not your phone. She flinched. I grabbed it by accident. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. He took it gently, not angrily, just, knowing. Keep it for now, What? No. I don't want. Aliyah. Hearing him say her name shut her up. She hadn't told him her name. You're safer with that phone on you than without it, he said quietly. She stared at him. Safer, from what? Something like regret flickered across his face, but it vanished too fast. You should go home, he said instead. Your son needs you. Her breath halted. How? He didn't answer. He stepped out of her car again. Drive straight home. Don't stop. Don't look back. But. Go. Her heart roared in her ears as she backed out of the warehouse, the steel gate sliding closed automatically behind her. She didn't breathe until she reached the highway. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, but her brain felt like it was storming harder than ever. She kept replaying his voice. His calm. His command. His eyes. When she finally pulled into her apartment lot, both kids were asleep in the living room, movie still playing. She covered them with blankets, kissed their foreheads, and tried to steady her breathing. Only when she finally sat on the couch did she realize. The phone, his phone, was still in her coat pocket. The screen lit up one more time. Unknown. We have a problem. They saw the woman. Her stomach twisted violently. They meant her. And the last line made her blood freeze. Unknown. Boss, do you want her eliminated? Aliyah's breath hitched. Then, a final message came through instantly, fast, commanding, from a contact labeled only as J. No. She's under my protection. Her entire body went cold. Aliyah whispered into the dark living room, voice trembling. What did I just get into? Rain still clung to Aliyah's clothes the next morning, even though the sun was finally out. It felt like the storm had soaked into her bones. She barely slept, every creak of her apartment made her jump, every car door outside made her think of the message on the stolen phone. Boss, do you want her eliminated? She kept hearing it. Over and over. She checked on her kids first thing. Malik's fever had dropped, thank God. Zay was drawing flowers on a cereal box, humming. Normal. Safe. Peaceful. But Aliyah didn't feel safe at all. The glittery phone sat on the kitchen table like a bomb. Mommy, that's not your phone, Zay said, pointing with her colored pencil. Yours has a butterfly, not sparkles. Aliyah forced a smile. It's borrowed. Malik squinted. Why does it say encrypted connection enabled every time it lights up? She snatched it up quickly. Because it's fancy. Grown-up phone stuff. She needed to return it. Today. Before anything else happened. After dropping the kids at school, she drove back toward the warehouse district, trying to convince herself she was being ridiculous, paranoid, dramatic. Maybe last night wasn't what she thought. Maybe those men weren't real threats. Maybe. The moment she turned onto the industrial street, all her illusions shattered. Black SUVs lined both sides. Men in suits stood outside, hands clasped in front of them, expressions stone cold. And when she pulled up, every single head turned toward her, like they'd been waiting. Aliyah's pulse spiked. One of the men approached. Tall, broad shoulders, hair slicked back, sunglasses despite the cloudy sky. Ms. Brooks, he said politely, opening her car door for her. Boss is expecting you. No one should know her name this easily. Her legs felt wooden as she stepped out. The man guided her through the warehouse entrance. Inside, it wasn't a warehouse at all. The interior was sleek, black marble floors, glass meeting rooms, security monitors everywhere. This wasn't a gang hideout. It was a headquarters. Jin Hyuk stood by a long table, reading documents like he'd been up since dawn. He didn't look up immediately, but she felt the shift in the air when he noticed her. Something tightened behind his eyes. You came back, he said simply. Aliyah held out the phone. I just want to return this and never be involved in, whatever this is. Jin Hyuk approached her slowly, hands in his pockets. You haven't slept. No one sleeps after the kind of night I had. A hint of something, guilt, passed through his expression. Sit. I don't want. Aliyah. Sit. Not harsh. Not threatening. Just, absolute. She sat today. He pulled out a chair across from her, lowering himself with a controlled heaviness that made her realize he was exhausted too. But instead of addressing last night, he nodded to a man standing nearby. Bring her tea. I don't want tea, she snapped. It will help your nerves. She hated that he wasn't wrong. The tea came steaming, fragrant, calming, but she refused to touch it. Jin Hyuk rested his forearms on the table. Tell me exactly what scared you. You know what scared me, she shot back. Men breaking windows. Men chasing me. Your phone getting messages about eliminating me. The word echoed too loudly. He didn't flinch. And yet here you are. Because I want out. Whatever this is, whatever you are, I don't want it near my children. His jaw flexed once. Your children are safe. You can't promise that. He leaned slightly closer. Last night, you were attacked because they followed me. Not because of anything you did. That doesn't make me feel better, she said through clenched teeth. He studied her quietly for a moment, eyes searching her face. I didn't tell them to target you. I stopped it. She already knew that, she saw the message. But hearing it from his mouth made something twist inside her chest. He slid a small card across the table. Black. Minimalist. A number printed in silver. If you ever feel unsafe, he said, you call this. Day or night. You don't hesitate. She pushed the card back. No. I don't want to be connected to you. His voice dropped. Aliyah, last night wasn't random. They're still looking. And they know your face. Her breath caught. All because you helped me, he added quietly. I didn't help you, she shot back. I hit you with my car. That almost made him smile. Almost. Even more reason for me to protect you. She shook her head. I'm not a part of your world. You are now. Her stomach knotted. I just want to go back to normal. Normal ended the moment those men saw you. Anger flashed through her. So now what? I'm supposed to just trust you? No, he said. You don't have to trust me. Just listen. He slid the card toward her again. This time, she didn't push it back. She hated how steady his gaze was. How sure he seemed about everything. How small and chaotic he made her life feel in comparison. She took a shaky breath. Fine. But I'm leaving. He nodded once. I'll have someone escort you. No, she cut in. No guards. No SUVs. No attention. I want to walk out like a normal person. For a moment, Jin-hyuk didn't move. Then he nodded again. As you wish. She stood quickly before her nerves betrayed her. She was halfway to the door when he said, softly, Aliyah. She froze. He walked toward her, steps measured, stopping just close enough that she felt the warmth of him. If you need me, he said, voice barely above a whisper, call that number. I'm not going to need you, she said. Then keep it anyway. She left without looking back. But the moment she stepped outside, the sunlight felt wrong. Too bright. Too exposed. She gripped the black card so tightly her fingers shook. Outside, a delivery man saw her coming and stepped aside quickly, lowering his gaze. A woman across the street spotted her leaving the building and hurried away, clutching her purse nervously. People feared this place. People feared him. As Aliyah reached her car, a cold chill crept down her spine. She sensed eyes watching. Too many. Too closely. She opened her door fast and slid inside, breathing hard. Just as she reached for her keys, a dark sedan slowed beside her. The window rolled down. The same men from last night. Same knives. Same rage. One leaned out the window, sneering. Found you. Her blood turned to ice. And for the first time, she realized. She wasn't getting out of this alone. Aliyah's scream caught in her throat. Her hands fumbled for the keys, slipping, shaking, useless. The dark sedan idled beside her car like a shark circling prey. The man in the passenger seat tapped the knife against his thigh, smiling without warmth. Boss isn't here to save you now, he taunted, voice muffled by the rain-dotted window. Aliyah finally jammed the key in, turning it so hard it nearly snapped. The engine sputtered to life. She floored the gas. Her car lurched forward, but the sedan immediately followed, bumping her back bumper hard enough to jolt her teeth. Come on, she whispered, gripping the wheel so tightly her fingers cramped. The street was nearly empty. Just warehouses, alleys, dead ends. She turned sharply onto a narrow road, tires screeching. The sedan followed instantly. She reached for her phone, her real one, only to remember it was dead. Her charger was at home. She wanted to scream. The black Mafia card sat in the cup holder. She didn't want to call him. She didn't even want his shadow touching her life. But tonight wasn't about pride. It was about Z and Malik. About staying alive. She grabbed the card, heart pounding, and hit the number with trembling fingers. The phone rang once before a voice snapped on. Ms. Brooks. It wasn't Jin-hyuk, It was the calm, clipped voice of the man from the warehouse. "I'm being chased," she cried. "They're trying to run me off the road." He didn't waste a second. "Location?" I don't know." "Warehouse district, near." She swerved hard as the sedan rammed her again. "They're right behind me." "Keep driving," he ordered. "We're tracking your signal." "I'm not." Her voice cracked when the sedan smashed into her again, sending her car fishtailing. "I'm not going to make it." "You will," the man said firmly. "Do not stop the vehicle." Her breath came fast, ragged. She could hear Z's laugh in her head. Malik's sleepy voice saying goodnight. She couldn't die. Not here. Not like this. The sedan swerved beside her, trying to cut her off. She jerked her wheel left, scraping the side of a dumpster. Sparks flew. Her side mirror snapped off, clattering across the street. Her phone slipped from her hand and fell somewhere under the seat. "Oh God," she cried. "Oh God, help me." The sedan suddenly accelerated, pulling ahead and turning sideways, blocking the road completely. Aliyah slammed the brakes. She skidded to a stop, inches from the sedan's doors. Too late. The two men stepped out calmly, like they were stepping out for a smoke break. One tapped his knife on the roof of her car. The other smiled at her through the windshield. "Get out," he mouthed. Aliyah locked the doors, chest heaving. She leaned down, fingers scrambling under the seat for the phone. Footsteps approached. A hand gripped her door handle. She found the phone. Before she could lift it, a black SUV barreled into the scene like a missile, smashing the sedan out of the way, metal crunching, glass exploding. The attackers flew to the pavement. Aliyah screamed. Two more SUVs screeched in behind her, forming a wall of steel. Men in suits poured out, weapons drawn, precise and terrifying. Everything happened fast. The attackers scrambled to their feet. One tried to run. A man from the SUVs caught him by the collar and slammed him into the pavement. The other raised his knife. A single shot cracked through the air. The knife clattered to the ground. Aliyah covered her mouth, eyes wide. The SUV doors opened again, and this time, she felt her stomach drop. Jinhyuk stepped out. No umbrella. No coat. Just a black dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, dark hair damp from rain. His expression was ice, harder than the night she hit him, sharper than when he warned her to drive home. His men parted around him like water. When he looked at her through the cracked glass of her car, her entire body went still. The warehouse street felt suddenly silent. He walked toward her with slow, controlled strides. Every footstep echoed like a threat. And yet, she wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of what he was capable of. He opened her car door gently, so gently it felt wrong compared to the chaos around them. "Aliyah," he said softly, "are you hurt?" She shook her head, breath trembling. "No. But I. She couldn't finish. The tears finally came. She pressed her hands to her face, shaking uncontrollably. For a second, Jinhyuk hesitated. Then he reached in, wrapping an arm around her and pulling her out of the shattered car. His touch was firm, grounding. She clung to him without meaning to, fingers gripping the fabric of his shirt. "You're safe," he murmured. "You're safe now." His men were dragging the attackers toward one of the SUVs. Someone was barking orders in Korean. Tires crackled over broken glass. Aliyah's knees buckled. He caught her before she hit the ground. "This is my fault," she whispered. "No," he said instantly. "This is my responsibility." She looked up at him, rain streaking down both their faces. "They were waiting for me. They knew I'd come back." "And I knew you would too," he said. "That's why we were watching the perimeter." His words sank into her chest like a punch. "You were watching for me?" "Of course I was." Her breath caught. There was something in his eyes she couldn't name. Something frightening. Something gentle. "Your car is compromised," he said quietly. "Your address is compromised. Your routine is compromised." "What does that mean?" "It means," he said, taking her trembling hand, "you don't go home tonight." Panic flared. "My kids are already safe." Her heart stopped. What? "I sent 2 men to your building 30 minutes ago," he said. "They're bringing Malik and Zaid to you now." Her legs nearly gave out again. "You had someone watching them?" "I protect what becomes my responsibility," he said, voice low. "Whether you accept that or not doesn't change the fact." The weight of his words stunned her. The 2 SUVs pulled around. A rear door opened. Inside were car seats, blankets, and stuffed animals, hers. Aliyah stared at him. Where are you taking us? To a place they cannot reach. She felt the final piece of normal life slip away as he guided her into the SUV. You can't keep doing this, she whispered. Jin Hyuk leaned in, his voice brushing her ear. I can't let you die, he said. Not you. Not your children. Her breath caught. And until this is over, he added, you stay with me. The SUV doors closed. The world shifted. The penthouse was nothing like Aliyah expected. She thought safe house meant a hidden apartment or a dusty backroom somewhere. Not a glass-walled, top-floor sanctuary overlooking the entire Los Angeles skyline. The elevator opened directly into a living room bigger than her entire apartment building's first floor. Soft lighting, charcoal furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows, and the faint scent of cedar drifting through the air. Malik stepped out first, wide-eyed. Mom, this place looks like Avengers HQ. Z gasped. It's like a castle in the sky. Aliyah didn't respond. She was too overwhelmed, by space, by silence, by the impossible reality she'd stepped into. Jin Hyuk stood near the windows, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in Korean, sharp, clipped, deadly. His silhouette was outlined by city lights, the entire skyline glittering behind him. He looked like he owned the world. Maybe he did. Aliyah tried to calm her breathing. She didn't want her kids to sense her fear. Okay, she said gently, shoes off, both of you. And no touching anything. Please. Zay immediately touched the nearest crystal sculpture. Malik wandered toward the massive TV. Mom, this thing is bigger than our car. It's bigger than our whole living room, Aliyah muttered. Jin Hyuk ended his call and approached them. For a moment, he paused, watching Zay's tiny hand press against the glass of the window, watching Malik flick the TV remote like he was disarming a bomb. He looked softer. We've arranged rooms for all of you, he said quietly. Come. I'll show you. Aliyah hesitated. She didn't want him leading them anywhere. But when Malik practically ran after him and Zay followed like a duckling, she hurried behind, heart pounding. The kids' room was ridiculous. Twin beds laid in plush blankets. A giant beanbag. A wall of toys, new, untouched, still in packaging. Someone had clearly rushed to prepare it. Aliyah knelt beside them. This is temporary, she said firmly. We're here just until things calm down. Zay hugged a giant stuffed panda already. Can it be tomorrow? Or the next day? Baby. Jin Hyuk watched from the doorway, unreadable, hands in his pockets. Your children are safe here, he said. That's what matters. Aliyah stood and stepped into the hall with him. They're overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. That's natural. I never agreed to stay here. He met her gaze. I never gave you the choice. Her breath caught. You can't do that. He leaned slightly closer. Would you rather go home? Where they already tried to take your life? Her throat tightened. You're using fear to control me. No, he said. I'm using reality. She didn't answer. He didn't push further. Instead, he moved down the hall toward the kitchen, expecting her to follow. She didn't want to. She followed anyway. The kitchen was warm, clean lines and soft lights making the dark stone counters look almost golden. He pulled out 2 mugs, filled them with hot water and tea leaves. You drink tea, he said simply. Not coffee. She blinked. How do you know that? I observe. That's creepy. That's survival. He handed her a mug. She took it reluctantly, inhaling the gentle jasmine scent. She didn't want to relax around him, but her shoulders eased despite herself. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. You haven't asked why they were after you. I assumed it was because of you. It was. Then tell me why. His eyes held hers. Because they think you matter to me. Her heart stuttered. I don't. You do, he said quietly. The moment you put yourself in danger to help me, you did. She looked down at her tea. I didn't help you. I just hit you with my car. For someone inexperienced, you have remarkable instincts. You follow orders. You react fast. You don't paralyze in fear. She stared at him, stunned by the almost compliment. Are you evaluating me? He tilted his head slightly. I'm acknowledging you. Silence fell, heavy, warm, dangerous. Before she could respond, tiny footsteps padded into the kitchen. Zay tugged at Jin Hyuk's sleeve boldly, Panda clutched against her. Mr. Dragon, she said, can you help me find the bathroom? Aliyah froze. Z, don't bother. But Jinhyuk's expression softened in a way she had never seen. Of course. He bent slightly to Z's level. Shall we find your kingdom's restroom? Z giggled and took his hand, dragging him down the hall. Aliyah stood there, stunned. Malik wandered in next, mouth full of gummy bears. Mom, he's not as scary as he looks. Aliyah forced a laugh. That's debatable. Malik shrugged. He said he used to play video games when he was a kid. I bet I could beat him. The idea was absurd. Hilarious. Terrifying. All at once. Jinhyuk returned a minute later, Zui now proudly leading him. Mommy, Z said, Mr. Dragon says we can watch a movie. Aliyah looked at him sharply. They need rest. He nodded respectfully. Then we choose something quiet. The kids voted him down instantly, choosing a cartoon instead. The four of them ended up in the massive living room. Z curled on a couch blanket nest. Malik sat cross-legged with his gummy bear stash. Aliyah sat stiffly, tea in hand. Jinhyuk sat beside her. Too close. His cologne, sandalwood, smoke, something warm, wrapped around her. Every shift of his weight made her hyper-aware. Halfway through the movie, Z leaned against him like he was a giant warm pillow. Malik draped his legs over his lap without asking. Jinhyuk looked down at them as if no one in the world had ever done that to him. He didn't move them. He didn't breathe wrong. He just let them. Aliyah watched him, stunned by the gentleness he didn't even seem aware he was showing. The lights flickered once. Jinhyuk's eyes sharpened immediately. His hand grazed the gun at his side. But it was only the storm outside. He relaxed again, barely. Z yawned, curling deeper into his side. Aliyah whispered, "Thank you. For saving us today." His voice was low. "I will always save you." She swallowed. "You don't even know me." "I know enough." The room felt too warm suddenly. Her hand brushed his on the couch. A small, accidental touch. But neither of them moved. Her heart hammered. His breath slowed. He turned his head toward her, the space between them shrinking. The front door slammed open. Jinhyuk shot to his feet instantly, placing himself between her and the sound. His men rushed in, speaking rapid Korean. "Boss," one said urgently, "they found the kid's school." Aliyah's blood went cold. The fragile moment shattered. Jinhyuk's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare." The warm softness from seconds ago vanished. He wasn't the man holding her kids during a movie anymore. He was the man men feared. Aliyah pulled her children close as chaos sparked around them. And she finally understood. Living with Jinhyuk meant living in the crater of a war she didn't choose, but couldn't escape. Alana didn't realize she was holding her breath until she heard the pounding of boots thundering through the mansion. Guards sprinted past the glass room, guns drawn, voices low but urgent. The ghost serpents were testing the perimeter, testing them, and every instinct in her body screamed danger. Daeho didn't flinch. He didn't panic. He moved. Quickly. Decisively. Silently. "Stay with Jaden," he said, stepping toward the hall. Alana grabbed his wrist before she could stop herself. "Wait, are they here now?" He paused, eyes flicking down to where her fingers circled his skin. She tried to pull back, embarrassed, but he gently tightened his hand around hers, anchoring her for one breath, one heartbeat. "Not yet," he said. "But they will be." Her pulse hammered. "You can't go out there alone." "I won't be alone." His voice softened, just slightly. "You and your son are my priority. I'll handle the rest." But she shook her head. Hard. "No. I'm done hiding in rooms while everyone else risks their life." She looked him in the eye. "Tell me how to help." That stopped him. Really stopped him. He studied her, searching, weighing, trying to decide if her determination was bravery or recklessness. Then, for the first time, Alana saw something crack through his calm. Respect. "You want to help?" he asked quietly. "Yes." He nodded once. "Then come." He led her to a smaller, dimmer part of the mansion, a secondary command room lined with screens and communication equipment. 2 guards stood inside, monitoring the perimeter feeds. Daeho motioned for them to give Alana space. On the central screen, a dark van circled the block again. And again. And again. Every time it passed the mansion, it slowed. "They're mapping your security," she whispered. He turned, surprised. "How do you know that?" "I used to work in a hospital. We had stalkers sometimes, obsessed patients, angry family members. Security taught us what Recon looks like." She pointed to the pattern of the van's movements. They're checking how quickly your guards respond. How far your cameras reach. Where you're weakest. His eyebrows lifted slightly. He didn't smile. But approval shone through his gaze like a flicker of light in a dark room. Good, he murmured. Very good. Her chest warmed at the praise. So what's the plan? You'll help me identify weak points, he said, motioning her closer. My men see threats through the lens of force. You see them through the lens of survival. We need both. A shiver raced through her, fear, adrenaline, maybe something else entirely, because hearing those words from him felt like stepping into a world she wasn't sure she was ready for. Still, she stepped closer. For the next hour, they worked side by side. She pointed out blind spots in the camera angles, places a person could hide behind a stone column or the tall bamboo near the gates. She noted the timed lapse of the black van, predicting where the serpents might breach. She suggested moving 2 guards to flank the east side where shadows pooled. Daeho listened. Really listened. At one point, he leaned over her shoulder to examine a monitor she was adjusting. The warmth of his breath skimmed her neck. Her spine tingled so sharply she almost lost her train of thought. Here, she whispered, clicking a timestamp. See how they slow down under this tree? They're waiting for something. Or someone. He reached past her, his fingers brushing the back of her hand as he enlarged the frame. A spark shot through her. Instant. Dangerous. He stilled, but didn't pull away. You're very observant, he murmured. I pay attention when people want me dead, she breathed. His jaw tightened. No one touches you. Not now. Not ever. The promise in his voice was so intense, her stomach flipped. He straightened, expression dark. I'll put extra men here, he said, pointing at the blind spot. And here. Anyone who gets through will regret it. She swallowed. You talk like someone who's done this before. A lot. I have. There was no pride in his voice. No apology either. Just truth. She hesitated, then asked the question she'd been terrified to ask. Why does your mother think you run a security company? That earned a long, quiet silence. Finally, he answered. Because she raised a son who should have had a clean life. His eyes softened, darkened. A son who should never have seen blood. The weight of those words pushed at her chest. Alana stepped closer. You protect her from the truth. I protect her from the world I chose, he said. The world that chose me. Something fragile and painful glimmered behind his expression. For a man like him to show even that much, it meant something. She took a breath. I'm sorry. For whatever pushed you into it. He shook his head. Don't pity me. I don't, she said quietly. I just understand what it feels like to lose control of your life. He looked at her then, really looked at her. 2 people who fought battles in different ways, wearing different scars. Before she could look away, another guard burst into the room. Boss, the guard said, breathless. We caught movement in the south garden. Just shadows, but... Daeho was instantly sharp and cold again. Double perimeter. Bring the dogs out. And no one moves alone. The guard ran off. Alana's heart thudded. Is it them? Maybe. His voice was lower now. Darker. More dangerous. She stepped closer to him, not because he needed her, but because she suddenly needed him. What do we do? She asked. His eyes dropped to her lips for one brief second before he forced himself to look away. You, he said, voice strained, stay with my mother. And stay close to Jaden. And you? She whispered. He exhaled slowly. I'll keep them out. She touched his arm. Be careful. It was supposed to be simple. Just a touch. But the moment her fingers met his, everything shifted. He caught her hand. Held it. Brought her closer, so close she felt the heat of him everywhere. Alana, he murmured, eyes dark, unreadable. You don't know what you do to me. Her breath caught. Before she could finish, he leaned in. Slow. Too slow. His lips brushed hers, light, hesitant, like testing a flame. Time froze. Her hand slid up his chest on instinct, gripping his sweater. His other hand cupped her jaw, tilting her chin up. When he kissed her fully, deeply, it wasn't gentle. It was hungry. Pent up. Dangerous. A man who lived in shadows, kissing like he'd found something bright. When they finally broke apart, breathless, shaken, he rested his forehead against hers. This is a mistake, he whispered. She swallowed. Then why does it feel right? His thumb stroked her cheek. Because I want you. Her knees weakened. But wanting you puts you in more danger. So does pushing me away, she whispered. He looked tortured, caught between desire and fear. That's why I can't decide if I should hold you closer, he breathed, or send you far away. Before she could answer, a sharp alarm blared from one of the screens. Movement. Fast. Approaching. A guard shouted from outside the room. Boss. They're here. And just like that, the warmth vanished. Daeho straightened, eyes turning to steel. A warrior again. A leader. He grabbed her hand one last time, squeezing hard. Stay alive, he said. For me. Then he ran toward the danger. Leaving Alana with one truth. This wasn't just about protection anymore. This was about him. This was about them. And the war was no longer coming. It had arrived. Alana didn't remember running. Only fear. Only the pounding of her heartbeat drowning out everything except one thought. Find Jaden. The alarms wailed through the mansion, shrill, urgent, echoing off marble and wood. Guards sprinted past her with weapons drawn. Orders crackled through radios in rapid Korean. Red lights blinked along the hallway like a warning. They're here. The ghost serpents. She turned a corner just as Daeho's mother opened the guest room door, startled by the noise. Alana? What's happening? Get back inside. Alana grabbed her hand. We need to stay safe. Jaden, where's Jaden? He's in the playroom, the old woman said. Alana took off down the hallway, heart slamming against her ribs. Her palms were slick with sweat. Her breath tore out in harsh bursts. She burst into the playroom. Jaden stood frozen in the middle of the floor, wide-eyed, clutching a plastic toy sword like it was real. Mom? Alana scooped him into her arms. Baby, it's okay. I've got you. But it wasn't okay. The ground trembled. A heavy thud sounded from somewhere deeper in the mansion. Jaden whimpered. Mom, is it them? She didn't want to answer. Didn't want him to see her fear. She forced her voice steady. It doesn't matter who it is. You're with me. She turned to Daeho's mother. We have to get somewhere secure. The old woman nodded, face pale but calm. Come. She led them to a door Alana hadn't noticed before, blending into the wall. When she opened it, Alana realized it wasn't a closet. It was a panic room. Steel walls. Reinforced door. Emergency supplies. Monitors showing live feeds from around the mansion. Alana ushered Jaden inside. Stay near me. Don't look at the screens too much. But Jaden looked anyway. 8 different camera angles filled the wall. Outside, guards moved in formation. Shadows flickered across the courtyard. The bamboo trees swayed unnaturally. And then, a figure appeared on one of the feeds. Tall. Broad. Wearing a black mask. Serpent tattoo coiling up his left arm. Right outside the garden wall. Jaden's breath hitched. Mom? I see him, she whispered, pulling him close. Another figure appeared. Then another. 5. 7. More. They were surrounding the mansion. Daeho's voice suddenly buzzed through the intercom radio mounted on the wall. All teams, perimeter breach confirmed. South wall. Engage. Alana froze. He was fighting. Out there. Against men who wanted her dead. She stared at the radio, willing it to speak again. Then. A gunshot cracked outside. Followed by 2 more. Shouts. Footsteps pounding. Dog barks. Something crashing. Jaden covered his ears and cried into her side. Alana held him tight, fighting her own panic. It's okay, she whispered, voice trembling. We're safe here. He won't let anything happen. She hoped it was true. But her insides twisted with doubt. Because this wasn't a little danger. This wasn't some men chasing a witness. This was a full assault on a mafia boss's home. And Daeho was in the middle of it. Another loud thud echoed through the wall. The lights flickered. Daeho's mother clasped her hands, whispering a prayer in Korean. Alana's heart cracked watching her. A mother terrified for her son. Just like she was terrified for hers. The panic room door suddenly vibrated, just a little, but enough to make Alana jump. Jaden gasped. Mom. Someone's here. No, she said, pulling him back. The door is reinforced. No one can open it. But the vibration came again. Then a muffled sound. Then another. Alana grabbed the only object within reach, a fire extinguisher. Ridiculous weapon or not, she refused to let anyone near Jaden. She stood ready. Shaking. Terrified. But ready. The intercom crackled suddenly. Anna. Static. Alana, answer if you hear me. Her chest seized. Daeho? She lunged for the radio button. I'm here. We're inside the panic room. Static drowned the line. Then his voice cut through again, sharp, breathless, strained. Stay there. Do not open the door. No matter what you hear. I'm holding them back. The line cut. Daeho, she shouted. Daeho, answer me. Silence. Jaden clung to her shirt. Mom, did something happen to him? Her throat tightened so hard she could barely speak. He's fighting. That's all we know. He was fighting for them. Because of her. Because of a choice she made at a bus stop. Her stomach twisted. I shouldn't have dragged us into his world. But the old woman shook her head fiercely. No, she whispered. He dragged himself into yours. Because you saved me. Alana swallowed hard. Another blast of gunfire erupted outside. Jaden cried out. She hugged him tighter, stroking his hair. It's okay, she whispered, even though she wasn't sure anymore. A shadow moved across one of the monitors, fast. Then another. 2 Serpent members sprinted along the east wall. A gunshot. One fell. The other darted behind the bamboo. The camera follow-up was grainy, but Alana recognized the figure emerging through the smoke. Daeho. His coat was gone. His arm was bleeding. His face was fierce, jaw clenched, eyes blazing. He fought like a man who didn't fear death. Like a man who feared losing someone else. Alana pressed her hand to her lips, eyes stinging. Please, please be okay. He disappeared from the camera angle. Moments later, a loud crash echoed through the walls again. Jaden coughed, a deep, wheezing cough. Alana snapped instantly into medical mode. Jay, where's your inhaler? He tried to speak but couldn't. She dug through the panic room supplies, shaking, until she found it. She pressed it to his lips. Deep breath, baby. Slow. Slow. He inhaled shakily. Again. Again. His body eased a little. Daeho's mother came to her side. He is okay? He will be, Alana whispered. Just needs rest. And calm. But how could anyone be calm now? Another explosion hit outside, closer this time. Dust rained from the floor vent. Jaden flinched hard. Mom, he whispered, voice breaking. Are we going to die? No. Her voice was steady now. Determined. Fierce. No one is dying today. Do you hear me? He nodded, hugging her tightly. Alana forced herself to breathe. Forced herself to focus. Forced herself to be strong. For Jaden. For herself. For the man outside risking everything. Suddenly, the camera feed on screen 3 flickered. Then steadied. Daeho reappeared. And he wasn't alone. A masked serpent had him pinned against the wall, a knife pressed to his throat. Alana's blood turned to ice. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Daeho struggled, grabbing the attacker's wrist, trying to twist free, but he was injured. Slower. Weaker. The blade pressed closer. Jaden whimpered. Daeho's mother cried out, covering her mouth. Alana felt something inside her snap. Fear vanished. Hesitation vanished. All that remained was one truth. She couldn't sit in this room and let him die. Not after everything he'd done. Not after the way he looked at her. Not after that kiss. Not after the way he promised to protect her son. She made the decision before she even felt her feet move. I'm going out there. Daeho's mother gasped. No, Alana. Jaden grabbed her hand. Mom, no. You said we had to stay here. She knelt, cupping his face. Listen to me, baby. Listen carefully. You're safe in here. Nothing can get inside. But out there, someone is fighting for us. His eyes filled with tears. But you're gonna get hurt. No, she whispered, kissing his forehead. I'm going to keep us all safe. I promise. And then, with shaking hands, and a heart pounding against her ribs, Alana reached for the panic room door release. Daeho's mother whispered, terrified, Child, why? Alana lifted her chin. Because he saved my son. A beat. And now I save him. She pulled the lever. The door unlocked with a metallic thud. As it slid open, Alana stepped out into the dim hallway, fear burning through her, courage pushing harder. The war wasn't outside anymore. It was here. And she was done hiding. Alana had never heard her own heartbeat this loud. It thundered in her ears, vibrating through her bones as she slipped out of the panic room and into the dim hallway. The alarms blared overhead. Smoke drifted in from somewhere deeper in the mansion. The air tasted like gunpowder and danger. Behind her, Jaden screamed, as the steel door sealed shut again. Her chest cracked at the sound, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Not when she'd seen the man who saved her pinned against a wall, a knife to his throat. If she hesitated now, he'd die. Footsteps thundered somewhere ahead, multiple pairs, heavy, fast, wrong. She pressed herself against the wall, forcing her breathing to steady. Her hands shook violently. She had nothing, no weapon, no plan, but she kept moving. She reached the end of the hallway. A door hung open. Inside, the room was wrecked, broken chairs, shattered glass, blood smeared across the floor. A guard lay unconscious near the doorway, breathing shallowly. She knelt and checked his pulse. Weak but present. He stirred, whispering, "Serpent, second floor." Alana's stomach clenched. Second floor. That's where she saw Deho fighting on the monitors. She ran. Up the stairs. Bare feet slapping stone. Breathing ragged. The second floor corridor was drowned in shadows except for flashes of light from muzzle fire in the distance. She ducked instinctively as a bullet tore past the wall near her head. Her heart lurched. But she kept going. Her pulse roared so loud she didn't hear the footsteps behind her until a hand clamped around her wrist. She gasped, twisting. A guard. One of Deho's. "Miss Price, what the hell are you doing out here?" She yanked her arm free. "Where is Deho?" "He ordered everyone to keep you in the panic room." "He's going to die," she yelled. "Tell me where." The guard hesitated only a fraction of a second, then pointed to the far end of the hallway. "East wing. Storage hall." She ran before he could stop her. The east wing was darker. Quieter. Too quiet. Her breath came in sharp bursts as she slowed. The hallway was lined with shelves of old books, locked cabinets, weapon crates. The air smelled like oil and dust. Then she heard it. A struggle. Metal scraping. Words hissed through clenched teeth. A grunt of pain. She crept forward until she saw them. Deho. Pinned against the wall. Bleeding heavily from his arm and shoulder. The ghost serpent attacker, the one with the dagger, pressed him harder against the stone, the blade nicking his throat. A thin line of blood trickled down his skin. "Boss," the man taunted, voice low and sickly amused. "You're weaker than the rumors say." Deho spat blood. "Then kill me and find out how wrong you are." Not fear. Not pleading. Even cornered, he was defiant. The serpent hissed, "You had something I wanted. That woman saw too much." Alana's stomach twisted. He meant her. "And now," the man continued, lifting the blade, "you'll both die." Alana didn't think. She grabbed the closest thing, a thick metal candlestick from a shelf, and sprinted forward silently. 3 steps. 2. 1. She swung with everything she had. The metal slammed into the back of the serpent's skull. He staggered, knife slipping from his fingers. Deho reacted instantly, kicking the man's knee sideways, twisting him down. The attacker fell to the floor with a scream. Alana didn't freeze. Didn't wait. Didn't think. She slammed the candlestick down again. And again. The attacker groaned, crawling backward, reaching for his knife. Deho stomped his hand, snapping bone, and pointed his gun at the man's head. But before he could shoot, the serpent laughed, a horrible, rattling sound. "You think this is over?" he croaked. "We're everywhere. She's dead the second you blink." The words made Alana's stomach drop. Deho's jaw clenched so hard she thought it might crack. "No," he said coldly. "She dies over my dead body." And he pulled the trigger. The echo shook the entire hall. The serpent collapsed, lifeless. The silence that followed rang in her ears. Deho turned to Alana slowly. His chest heaved. Blood soaked half his shirt. He stared at her as if she were a hallucination. "Alana," he breathed. "What are you doing here?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. Not when he looked like that. Not when he was hurt, exhausted, and still trying to protect her even while dying. He took one step toward her. Stumbled. Caught the wall. She rushed to him. "Sit," she ordered, guiding him to the floor. He shook his head. "I told you to stay in the panic room." She pressed her hand to his wound, ignoring his flinch. "If I stayed there, you'd be dead." He grabbed her wrist weakly. "That was my risk, not yours." "No," her voice cracked. "You don't get to decide I'm worth dying for." His expression softened, painful, raw, emotional. And you don't get to decide I'm not. She swallowed hard. Daeho. He leaned his forehead against hers. She felt his trembling breath. His heat. His fear, real, for the first time. I've killed for many reasons, he whispered. Power. Revenge. Survival. His voice shook. But tonight. I fought because losing you terrified me more than anything. Her breath hitched. You're bleeding out. Then let me say this before I pass out. She froze, heart thundering. I love you. Her entire world stopped moving. No sound. No fear. Just the echo of those three impossible words vibrating through her chest. She touched his face, her voice breaking. Say it again. His eyes softened, dark and shining. I love you, Alana. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I love you too, she whispered. And I am not losing you tonight. He closed his eyes for a moment as if absorbing her words into every broken part of him. Then he slumped slightly. Daeho. I'm not dying, he murmured. But I need help. She ripped strips from her shirt and pressed them to his wounds, applying pressure like she did in the ER years ago. He winced but didn't pull away. I'm here, she whispered. She pressed harder. Stay with me. He breathed slowly, shakily, but he stayed conscious. Sirens approached outside, backup finally arriving. Guards shouted that the perimeter was secured. Alana heard footsteps racing toward them. But she didn't move. Didn't look away from him. Didn't let go. She leaned closer, trembling. Voice barely above a breath. I love you, she said again. His hand found hers. Weak but sure. And I am not letting you go. Ever. His lips lifted, just a small, pained smirk. Good, he whispered. Because I'm not letting you go either. As the guards surrounded them, as the danger faded, as his eyes fluttered closed in exhausted relief, Alana held him in her arms. Alive. Safe. Loved. And she knew. Whatever happened next, they were no longer fighting alone. 1 year later, the mansion looked nothing like the war zone it had been that night. Where bullet holes once scarred the walls, sunlight now streamed through repaired windows. New bamboo rustled outside, taller and greener than before. The air was quiet, peaceful. Calm in a way Alana once believed didn't exist in her world. She stood barefoot in the kitchen, flipping pancakes while Jaden sat at the island drawing a comic book for school. He hummed softly, relaxed, happy. That alone made every sleepless night worth it. Mom, he said without looking up, can I show him my new drawing when he wakes up? Him. Jaden didn't even need to say a name anymore. Of course, Alana said, brushing flour off her hands. He'll love it. As if summoned, a deep voice drifted from the hallway. I always love anything my son draws. Jaden grinned wide. Daeho. Alana turned, heart lifting in a way she still wasn't used to. Daeho walked into the kitchen wearing soft gray joggers and a black t-shirt, still dangerous, still intense, but somehow gentler now. His shoulder had long healed. His scars remained, but they were part of him, part of the story that brought them here. And he wore them without shame. When Jaden ran to him, Daeho leaned down and scooped him up like it was natural, like it was something he'd done forever. You're awake early, Alana teased, sliding a plate of pancakes onto the counter. I smelled breakfast, he replied, kissing the top of Jaden's head. And I heard chatter. That was me, Jaden said proudly. I'm making a comic about the white dragon saving a city. Daeho stiffened for a split second. But only Alana noticed. His past still lived inside him. But it no longer controlled him. Let me see, he said gently. Jaden flipped open the pages. Bold crayon strokes, heroic poses, fire, shadows. And a woman drawn next to the dragon. That's Mom, Jaden announced. She saved the day too. Alana's breath caught. Daeho's eyes softened. You two saved each other, he murmured, handing the drawing back. Jaden beamed. Because we're a team. Yes, Daeho said, looking at Alana. We are. Heat curled in her stomach. A year together and he still had the power to make her melt with one look. Sit, she said, nudging him toward the island. Eat. You have a meeting today. He made a face. A boring meeting. With the Korean Chamber of Commerce, she reminded him. Very official. A faint smile tugged at his mouth. Do you know how strange it is to be invited to legal business meetings? Alana grinned. You do own 5 legitimate companies now. And 0 illegal ones, he added. She stepped closer, resting a hand on his chest. You rebuilt everything. You chose peace instead of violence. His eyes darkened, not with danger, but with something warm. Something only she saw. I chose you, he said quietly. Everything else followed. Her breath caught. Jaden gagged dramatically. You. Grown-ups in love. Alana laughed and ruffled his curls. Go get your backpack, silly. Jaden hopped off the stool and bounded out of the kitchen. When he disappeared around the corner, the room felt different. Quieter. Closer. Charged. Daeho stood, stepping into her space, cupping her face gently. His touch was warm, steady, nothing like the cold, guarded man she first met. You look beautiful this morning, he murmured. She raised an eyebrow. I'm literally covered in flour. Still beautiful. She swatted his chest lightly. Compliments at 7 in the morning should be illegal. He brushed his thumb along her jaw. So should making me fall in love with you every day. Her face flushed. Even after a year, he could still knock the air out of her without trying. She slid her arms around his waist, leaning into him. I love you too. He kissed her forehead, slow and gentle. I know. A pause. Then, unexpectedly, he stepped back slightly. Alana, he said softly. There's something I need to ask you. Her breath hitched. He only used that tone when something was serious. He walked to a drawer, opened it, and pulled out a small wooden box. Not fancy. Not flashy. Something humble and warm, just like him in private. Her heart began to pound. He turned back to her, holding the box like it carried his entire soul. When you walked into my life, he began slowly, I was lost. Angry. Alone. A king of nothing but shadows. Then you, someone I never should have met, risked everything to save my mother. Alana blinked hard as tears gathered. His voice was gravel soft. And when I nearly died, you ran toward the danger instead of away. His jaw tightened, emotion flickering through him. You held me like I was worth saving. She pressed a trembling hand to her lips. He stepped closer. That night, I realized something. I don't want a life without you. Without Jaden. Without our family. Her vision blurred. He opened the box. Inside was a simple ring, gold band, one small diamond. Understated. Timeless. Beautiful in a way that felt personal. Not bought. Chosen. Her breath caught in her throat. He sank to one knee. Alana Price, he said, voice thick, will you marry me? Her knees buckled. One hand flew to her mouth, the other pressed over her heart. Daeho, her voice broke completely. Yes. 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 He exhaled, shaken, relieved, deeply moved, as he slid the ring onto her trembling finger. She pulled him up, kissing him through tears, holding him with everything she had. Jaden ran back into the room mid-kiss and froze. What's happening? Daeho smirked. Ask your mom. Alana wiped her cheeks, laughing. He asked me to marry him. Jaden's eyes widened. So, that means he's mine? If you want, Daeho said gently. I'd be proud to be. Jaden dropped his backpack and ran straight into his arms. You already are. Daeho hugged him tightly, closing his eyes as if holding something fragile and precious. Alana watched them, heart bursting. They weren't broken people anymore. They weren't survivors anymore. They were family. A real one. Later, when they walked Jaden to the car for school, he grabbed both their hands and swung between them, giggling. Daeho squeezed Alana's fingers. Are you happy? She looked at him, the man who once terrified her, the man who now loved her deeper than breath. More than I ever thought possible. He leaned closer, whispering against her ear, forever starts now. She smiled. Forever wasn't long enough. And as they watched Jaden buckle in, safe and smiling, Alana knew. This wasn't the ending. This was the beginning. Their beginning.